Hello, I hope you are safe and sound. I know these are testing times for all of us, and most of us are uncomfortable, be it physically or mentally. And we need to understand that these are the times when actually the human race evolves. These are the times that are unprecedented, nobody was ready for it, and we as a race will somehow come up with solutions and come up with innovations that make our living easier in the post COVID-19 world. So today's topic of discussion is going to be regarding the COVID-19 situation only. One of the major industries that has taken a hit because of the outbreak of coronavirus happens to be the fashion and apparel industry. The fashion industry has taken a major hit, and the degree of damage varies from different levels, being from low to high. So in this video we will be focusing on few points on what the fashion industry in the post COVID-19 world is going to look like and how the consumer behavior will change. So talking about the consumer behaviors, as of now we are living on necessities. So people are not buying new trends, new collections or new designer stuff. It is usually said that if somebody follows a certain routine for over 21 days, then that becomes a habit. So we have been in this lockdown situation for almost 1.5 months now, and if it goes any longer, then this new buying behavior, that is not buying a lot and just living on necessities, will be so much embedded into us that it will take some time, if not a lot, to go back to our usual consumerism behavior. So that is where the shopping patterns of the consumer is going to evolve in the post COVID-19 world, and this somewhere will push us customers into investing in pieces that are more basics and pieces that we can style more often rather than more trendy pieces or pieces that we are only going to wear a couple of times. So there will come a time soon that the lockdowns will be uplifted and most of us will be ready to move out. We can go back to shopping, eating and just go back to our offices. A lot of us will still be hesitant to go into public places. This brings me to the point that the retail stores are going to suffer a high degree of damage. Now we also need to talk about how these retail stores have already suffered a lot of loss because they were all set to launch their spring summer collection once they were done with their end of season sale in Jan and Feb. But that is the time when the virus actually started spreading widely and people started avoiding going to public places. So now they have all this collection stocked up in their inventories, but then no place and nobody to sell it to. Since the lockdown has been implemented, a lot of people who were not so much well versed with the online shopping and the nuances of online payment are actually dwelling into it, are getting to know it better, and this is further affecting the traditional way of shopping that was into the retail stores and pushing all this consumer base towards the online shopping. And with all these online shops offering policies like 30-day return policy, no questions asked return policy, try at home, it will further attract consumers to actually approach for this rather than the traditional way of shopping. Now another industry that will take a major hit in the post-COVID world would be the tourism industry. The tourism industry will observe far lesser footsteps than it usually did, and a lot of people will avoid going on vacations and traveling. All the famous tourist spots, including the exotic ones like Bali, Hawaii, Bora Bora, they will notice a huge fall in reservations, and this is going to be directly proportional to the sales of resort wear. Now when talking about tourism, we cannot skip touching on the point of destination weddings. There will be a decrease in destination weddings, and in general also larger gathering and larger weddings will see a decrease in number. Major population will now prefer smaller weddings over big and huge weddings, and there will be lesser number of guests attending the weddings. Now these small scale weddings may lead to lesser demand of those extravagant outfits of not just bride and grooms but also of the ones attending. Now because of this unprecedented time, a lot of companies have offered their employees with the work from home option. Now these companies may realize that work from home is actually not as bad of an option as they thought, and maybe they may continue with this even in the post-COVID world. So there might be an increase in work from home, freelancing and all these sort of jobs and services even once all this is over. Now an increase in these sort of jobs will affect the sales of loungewear in a very direct proportional manner, because let's be honest, even now for your online meetings you just have a formal top wear with pajamas underneath. So it's no secret that comfort will be in high demand and hence comfortable clothing. Now we cannot talk about fashion and apparels and just not talk about fashion weeks. Now as we have already discussed that once all this is over and we are back to a new normal, a lot of people will still be hesitant with the idea of traveling. Now imagine top people from the fashion industry traveling across seas to be seated in a crowded room full of people. Now this will be unlikely and the fashion weeks will have to bring about major reforms in their working. Now when talking about the tops of the fashion industry, we also need to consider and talk about the changes that will happen in the lives of people who work at the lower level to manufacture these garments and products. A lot of companies and brands are letting go of their staff and laborers because of shortage of finance. Now most of these laborers are daily wagers, and if not that, they just earn enough to fulfill their hand-to-mouth needs. So this sort of earning does not allow these people to have a lot of savings at their end, and that is why this time is going to push them into finding and searching new jobs. Now it may happen that a lot of them may not want to return to their original jobs, that will lead into shortage of laborers. Now we also have to consider that the import and export industry will observe reforms. So on a brighter side and on a happier note, all these homegrown brands and indie brands will have an opportunity to actually shine through and create their consumer base. Now if there is any other point that you think requires a discussion, then comment down below and let's start a conversation. I hope you found this video insightful, and if you did, then please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also consider sharing this video with your friends and family who are in the fashion industry, or just anyone that you would want to know about these insights. With that note, I'll sign off and I'll see you soon.